Hello, welcome to a 1950s house, but what seems to be basically like a brand new house. And that's because it's Energy Star rated or Energy Star certified. And that really means that the government has created a whole bunch of check marks, a whole bunch of check boxes for this house to fulfill in order for it to be considered Energy Star. And that means that it's just a really efficient house. So as we walk around, we'll see all of the different details that the person that remodeled this house had to take into account when they were remodeling it. So first off, it's super easy, right? All of these appliances, whenever you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or something, right, you'll see on those appliances, it will say Energy Star rated or Energy Star certified. And so, yes, of course, all of these appliances are Energy Star appliances. So, dishwasher, right? You think of all of the different ways that they can save energy, water. They're just hyper focused on efficiency. The other thing that you'll see is just the lights in this place, right? They're all, not all of them, but many of them are going to be LED. And of course, LED are super efficient, right? Your light bill goes down because things like your appliances are much more efficient. Your lights are much more efficient. Now, another thing that you'll see is windows. And when you look at windows, the biggest thing to take into account is the fact that they're either dual pane or sometimes even triple pane. And that dual pane allows for air to have a harder time, or rather heat to have a harder time to come in, cool to have a lot harder time coming in. There's a vacuum in many cases in between those two spaces, and so heat can't transfer as easily. So it's nice and insulated. The other thing one thing that you're almost never going to see, but is just the reality in this house, is the fact that up above us, this attic has 30R or R30 value insulation. And so they had to go in, and what they probably did was blew in a lot of insulation that stacks up and ensures that any heat transfer doesn't happen within this home. The other thing that you'll notice is, or that you probably won't notice, just the fact that all of these seals around the door are going to be nice. They're not going to allow a lot of airflow, and so if you start looking and seeing that there's a lot of sunlight coming through your door or around your windows, again, something you're probably not going to notice that often, but if you see sunlight around your door, that's not a great energy efficient thing, and so in this case, you won't see any of those gaps of light because they've had to ensure that air is not freely flowing. And not only that, but when they install these doors, so behind this molding here, they often are putting beads of some sort of thermal insulation, and it's just not just the normal gaps that you're just closing with a board. They're actually ensuring that there's no heat being transferred from the exterior to the interior. So as you're considering these houses, sometimes people are looking for a premium because they've decided that Energy Star is a significant thing. And it may be to you, because really you're going to save somewhere between 10 and 20%. So 10 at the minimum is what they claim, and 20% is the average that you should expect to see in terms of the savings that you would receive as a result of making your home Energy Star certified. So 20% on average, the savings that you're going to see in terms of your electricity bill. So again, as you walk around this house, you're going to see things like these thermostats are going to be Energy Star, right? They're not going to be your typical dial. Older homes might have that, or the slider. I know Honeywell made those for a long time, and now you've got a lot of different companies making these more efficient systems, and they're going to be programmable to probably the second, and they're going to be very efficient. The other thing we'll notice as we walk outside here is the fact that they've got the other thing that we'll notice as we come outside here is that you've got a tankless water heater. And tankless just means that there's not a huge tank here. And so sometimes people walk around, and if you've never seen a tankless, you're going to see this sort of unit, and you're going to wonder, well, where's the hot water heater? And what's that thing? That's a tankless hot water heater, and that's going to ensure that hot water is available basically on demand. It's not always heating this huge body of water. So if you've got an 80-gallon tank or 40-gallon tank, basically your system has to constantly put heat into that tank to keep that water at a constant temperature so that you and your family can enjoy a hot shower or a sink that makes sure that those boiled potatoes don't take so long to boil. So in this case, you've got a tankless hot water heater, and that is going to ensure steady flow of hot water. And it's going to be, because it's basically on demand, if you go out of town for 2 weeks, you're not going to have that issue of heating that water that you're not using for 2 weeks. Instead, it's just whenever you're using it, the system kicks on and heats the water that's coming into your home. It's also kind of nice because if you're in a big family, the family that I'm in, tankless hot water heater is going to ensure that everybody can take a nice hot shower. So there's a lot of benefits to this, but one of them is obviously the fact that it's energy efficient. The other thing that we would, in many cases, you're going to see is some sort of change to the electrical panel. And here on the other side of the home, you'll see a change to the electrical panel. They've updated this whole electrical system. So this upgrade, and you can tell just by looking at it, this is a much more updated system, just by way of how big those conduits are that are going up into the attic here. But updating a panel is going to cost you thousands of dollars, and the fact that someone else has already taken care of that cost for you is pretty nice. And again, that's all ensuring that they're meeting the standards of an energy efficient home. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Hopefully you know if you care about it since you've heard this, right? Is this something that I care about and that is actually a huge feature in a house that I want to buy? Or is it just a nice to have? Is it something that I could pursue down the road, or I could purchase those appliances because that's likely the thing that's mostly going to impact my bills and keep my bottom line where it needs to be. Or it might be a great selling point for you because you're looking to feel like you're in basically a brand new home. Again, this is a 1950s build, but this home, because it's Energy Star certified, is generally speaking going to feel like a brand new home. So not all flips are made alike, and this flip is an interesting one because they've really put a lot of emphasis on the Energy Star. So you've got an AC unit that's on top of this house. Again, that's all going to be rated for Energy Star. So again, hopefully this has been helpful to you, and if you have any questions about homes in the area that might have this designation, it's not a normal thing that you can search for. You have to get tricky in terms of searching for this particular type of house, and hopefully people are marketing it correctly. That's really what it comes down to, and you need somebody that knows where to go, because it's not a normal field that you can just search for. Let's say when you're on Zillow or something like that, you can't just search for Energy Star homes and receive those. So you need someone to actually walk through and figure that out for you. So again, if you have any questions, reach out or check out some more videos and keep getting informed on homes so that you make the best decision for you and your family.